Hey guys, Cam315 back at with another video for you guys. Back talking some Chicago Bears football. I thought I wouldn't have to be making a Chicago Bears video, but I have to make a Chicago Bears video because I feel like it. And on top of it, I kind of wanted to voice my displeasures about what is actually apparently going to be happening. So I guess this Friday morning, basically Adam Hogue and Adam Johns, they had one of their podcast shows, and they had it with Ben Johnson, and they just basically were blunt and just kind of asked him like, hey man, what's the plan? Are you playing the starters for week 1 of the preseason? Because the Bears have their first preseason game um on Sunday morning, against the Miami Dolphins. And just as a background information, me as a fan, leading up to this thing, I was hoping like, hey, I want to see the starters play, whether it's a series or two. I would like to see them play. You can just you run your basic offense, base offense. You don't have to do too much. It's just nice live in-game reps that this offense more than likely will need, right? Especially the fact that you got a left tackle competition going on. You want to at least get more Caleb and this offensive line accumulated more into this offense and everything, and just get your feet wet and everything. And then you can go a half against the Bills, and then maybe again do a series or two against the Chiefs in your final preseason game. Well, apparently that seems like that's not going to be the case today, or going to be the case. So Ben Johnson in this interview, he kind of played it off saying, or he kind of, or well, not played it off, insinuated that no, probably not gonna have a majority of our starters play in week 1 of the preseason. So, most of those guys are gonna be, not playing crazy reps in the preseason or getting those reps in the preseason. They're gonna be getting a lot in the joint practice that obviously is taking place today. Now I'm recording this before the joint practice happened. Um, you know, so obviously when I get this up to YouTube under the channel, this can be probably concluding either as the joint practice is commencing, or it's obviously over with already, right? And we'll already know the details of how the joint practice ended up going. I don't know if I'll actually end up doing a video about that and how the joint practice will do. Maybe honestly now, if the reports come out saying the Bears offense didn't really look too good in the joint practice, well then that only make insensitizes you to be like, well then maybe we should play our starters in the preseason, especially week 1, so we can get that bad taste out of our mouth. Look, I've kind of always been of this approach of, hey, let's trust Ben Johnson. Let's trust him. Let's see what he's got cooking. Let's trust him. That's been for every situation, basically up until we got to this point. Now I'm just like, okay, yeah, the we trust Ben Johnson stuff. No, I got to throw that shit in the trash can. I don't trust this from Ben Johnson. If you're not going to play your starters, then I don't know what we're doing here. We're doing everything wrong, and this is the issue again. Your offense is brand new. You're installing a new offense, and guess what? Live in-game reps matter a ton of a lot um for this team, and I think for this team they need it. Any chance they can get to get live in-game reps, as a starting offense, prepare for the regular season, prepare for that Monday Night Football game against what will be, even though we don't know what the offense will do for the Vikings, we know that Brian Flores will have his defense ready to play, right? And knowing the Bears offense, they might come more than likely come out slow. So any live in-game reps to get yourself, started on a good start, a good foot, to the point where your offense is not as slow to start off the game, as it probably would be if you maybe played just a preseason game. The pre-snap penalties. There have been issues and reports about how the pre-snap penalties have been an issue in training camp. I don't know why, if you have so many pre-snap penalty issues or pre-snap issues, in practice, you would think you would go into a live game setting at Soldier Field. Mind you, they did do a practice at Soldier Field, and Ben Johnson did talk about how they had pre-snap issues in the stadium they practice in, that they albeit play in. You would think maybe I'm going to give the first team offense, a series or two. So to get them in live game situations. So hopefully that stuff does not pop off. Because I bet you if I see the Bears have pre-snap penalties week 1 against the Vikings, I'm going to attribute that to, well, we probably should have played week 1, not just maybe week 2 for a half and then against the Bills and then maybe a series or two against the Chiefs. This is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry. I've always been the person that does trust the Ben Johnson process. I don't trust this. I don't like this decision. Strictly from the standpoint. Fine, defense, I don't care. The starters don't have to play. Defense is fine. You're vanilla anyway. So if the defense didn't play, I could care less. The offense, in all honesty, deserves the fucking play. For a team that doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I'm sorry. I don't need this smart ass logic type of thing. Now, this is where it's going to start getting me now. Okay, now, Ben. Don't give me this freaking I'm a smarter than everybody in the room. I don't need Matt Nagy stuff because that's the same shit Matt Nagy did. He didn't play his guys in the preseason, and it fucking hurt the team. Ben Johnson should be playing the Bears starter. You're the head coach. You run the offense. This dude, out of anybody, should know how important getting on an offensive gel and, making sure you're, working out the kinks, making sure that you're addressing these pre-snap issues and a live game reps. And on top of it, getting your young quarterback live in-game reps cannot be understated enough. For Caleb Williams, who's learning the new offense, he needs as many in-game reps as he can get so then he can get more comfortable. And by the time week 1 comes, he's fine. I'm not going to say he's fine because he's going to be going up against a crazy defense, right? And he did fine against Brian Flores' defense, legitimately. Like, I know the first time they played, they did catch them. He did catch them by surprise, especially with the comeback. But the second time, in Minnesota, they definitely were better prepared to handle him and stuff like that, right? So unless Ben Johnson, is making sure he's in that room with Caleb Williams to say, hey man, here's what you need to see because this is what I see from freaking Brian Flores and everything. Like, and then again, offensive line stability. You want to get your offensive line in a good mesh together. And again, like I said, you're having a left tackle starting battle. Yes, you can do that in practice, but you also need to get live and meaningful reps. We need to see, is Braxton Jones going to be the starter or is Ozzy Trapillo going to be the starter? And we need to see in live, meaningful game reps, them competing. Because regardless, they're going to more than likely have one-on-one matchups. Like, I would like to see that in a live, meaningful game for the offense, but we're not going to get that more than likely. We'll probably have a few starters on offense probably playing, which is probably Ozzy Trapillo. More than likely they'll have him starting at left tackle. You know, we'll probably see Luther Burden out there. But regardless, we're not gonna. Apparently, it sounds like we're not gonna see the other ones. So probably the rookies. Apparently, the rookie starters more than likely. You know, and Colston Loveland will probably start because they're rookies. They need to get in-game reps themselves. But the fact that we're not going to do this with Caleb and the others, I just don't understand. Like it's absolutely stupid mindset from Ben Johnson there. Like Joe Burrow and Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins all played yesterday against the Eagles. Mind you, they played against the backups of the Eagles, but they still played and they got meaningful reps because that's a team notoriously the last few seasons, they got out to a slow start. So they're saying like, well, let's try something new. Maybe if we play maybe a two series in the preseason, maybe that gets us on a better hot start going into the regular season. And guess what? They looked good, albeit yes, it's against backups. Still, it gets you acclimated in an in-game live game environment, right? I know there's kind of a quarterback battle going on, but Anthony Richardson, is technically right now the starter, he got some minutes. Now, albeit he messed himself up and got himself in trouble to the point he got a dislocated pinky because he can't even tell what a day one install is and a hot route is, and he got himself basically hurt again. That's the thing. But you get my point right then and there, right? Other teams have already come out and announced, like, oh no, some of our starters are players. Our rivals, the Packers, said that their starters are going to be playing. The Jets, good old Justin Fields, everybody likes to bring up, right? From Bear fans. He's playing in week one, right? Aaron Glenn has come out and said, no, our starters are playing for our offense. Patrick Mahomes, yes, the Patrick Mahomes says he's going to be playing week one of the preseason. Like, I don't understand this mindset the Bears feel like they don't need to play their starters in the preseason, like the Baltimore Ravens or the Philadelphia Eagles. For those two teams, it makes the most sense in the world because guess what? We already know what they're about. The Bears aren't at that point where they can say, nah, Caleb Williams don't need to play week one of the preseason. Teams like the Eagles and the Ravens, the reason they don't have to play their guys is because they earn the benefit of the doubt. Because every single year they're competitive, every single year they're competing for a damn Super Bowl. So they have all the excuses in the world. They can freely rest all their starters they want. They probably could rest their entire starters, all the starters. What is it for the entire preseason? And they'll still be fine. The Bears, no, it's a different story. They don't earn they haven't earned the benefit of the doubt to do that. You got a new head coach with a new offense, with new offensive line pieces, a quarterback, and you need to basically get those live in-game reps to address pre-snap issues to make sure they don't appear in week one and everything. And I'm sorry. Yes, I understand. You can show more in these joint practices. You can do more similar stuff in your offenses, what you're going to do in your offense for the season, right? In your joint practice, right? Against another opponent. But a joint practice is not enough. Yeah, joint practice is fine, but guess what? A joint practice is, again, just a practice. You're going to do your 7-on-7. You're probably going to have your one-on-ones with your receivers and your offensive linemen, and then you're going to have your 11-on-11 period. And even then, even your 11-on-11 period is not going to be something, that they're gonna go all crazy because the opposing team can't touch Caleb Williams if the offensive line gets blown up and Caleb Williams gets sacked. So we don't know if Caleb Williams will be able to escape a sack or find a way to get out of it. Yes, joint practice has become more of a thing as of late between teams, but like no, joint practices don't simulate in live game reps. But see, that's the problem. The Bears think that, oh, a joint practice, yeah, that it's going to give us something close to accurate of a live game. No, Ninja, it's not. You can run the play clock, you can do all this, you can try to simulate a live game situation. It's not going to work. It's not the same exact crap like an actual live game experience. I don't want to stay too long talking on this point, but it really does frustrate me and it really does piss me off that Ben Johnson is not going to play the starters. I will also voice this in my preseason week one as a rant. I don't like that idea. And the fact that the Bears think, oh, well, We don't need to do that. That's one of your first mistakes. And if it's one of your first mistakes is a reason why we end up becoming a bad team again this year, well, then I'm going to look back at week one, preseason, and I don't care if it's preseason. I'm going to look back at this point and say, maybe y'all should have played your starters week one in the preseason. Could have helped, even in the slides. Even if you're going out there for our one series or two series, it will help. Any rep you can get will help. Even if you're going 3 and out for both of those series, any rep is much needed. You can never reciprocate a live in-game rep in practice. When it's a live in-game rep with an actual game, you can get so much more out of that as opposed to a fucking practice. And this is one of the first times where I have to respectfully disagree with Ben Johnson, and other Bear fans should feel the exact same way. They should be using this live game, this preseason game, to get more reps in for a new offense, for a quarterback that's learning a new offense, for an offensive line, that needs to get adjusted to a new quarterback and his cadence. That shit's needed. But I wonder what they saw from the Colts, their next door neighbors, right? With Anthony Richardson getting hurt, and then that Baltimore Ravens player basically breaking his damn ankle. And then the fact that we've already got some players, Rashawn Slater, done for the season. A Colts player tore his ACL, done for the season because he played in the preseason game. A Ravens player also tore his ACL yesterday in the preseason. Are they doing this doom and gloom situation? Oh, we can't. Let's hold on, guys. We don't want our starters to get hurt. Maybe one wrong move, one more tweak, broken ankle, something happens, and then they're injured. You can't have no fear about injuries. If an injury happens, an injury happens. You pivot and you basically do what happens, right? And that's why you play vanilla, because teams are not trying to get hurt. It's just when you play sports, there's always a chance you get hurt. So there's that. Hopefully the Bears don't have any major injuries in this joint practice. But I disagree with this move from Ben Johnson. You can get live in-game reps, and we're just actively saying, nope, we're not going to do that. So then that just better mean the team better play one full half against the fucking Bills. Because if they're not, then I'm gonna be pissed. Don't tell me they're gonna do this 1 to 2 series against the Bills, and then for preseason week 3, that's when they want to play the full half. Well, at that point, then you might as well do back to back. Let's play full halves against the Bills and the Chiefs. And also, does this mean that the Bears are gonna get limited reps, live game reps against the Bills? Because next week, they have a joint practice with the Bills next week. So what? We're gonna get one series against the Bills next Sunday night in Chicago against the Bills. Well, I may look at the Bills playing their fucking starters for maybe a half. Like, dog, what are we doing here? What do I say? And what do I know? The Bears are gonna bear. The fan base should be opposed vehemently to this outcome. I don't really care. If you're worried about injuries happening, it's football. Get over it. I want to address and make sure we nip these pre-snap issues in the bud. I want to make sure that we got a team at least, on a good start before entering week 1 of the regular season. And again, like I said, if they look good week 1, they win convincingly, and then they also look good corresponding in the next few weeks, this video will mean nothing. But if they start out slow and the offense is not looking good, they're having false starts and then illegal, motions and stuff like that because they're not set up correctly. I'm going to attribute it back to this preseason. Week 1, let's not play our starters because any live game rep can help out with that. And you're not going to get that in the joint practice. You're just not. But give me your thoughts on if you think the Bears made a mistake here, Ben Johnson made a mistake here, and that the starters should be playing. in preseason week 1? Or do you think it's a good idea that, hey, maybe they're not gonna do it? We'll see. But anyways, hit that subscribe button if you want to get more Cam 315 Talk Sports and more Chicago Bears content on the channel. And then as for the preseason game week 1, it may be a little bit later till, well, later, and I mean maybe a few days after the first preseason game has taken place, right? Because I work, my uncle obviously works. Sadly, this week's preseason game felt on a game because I do work in sports. It falls on a game. It falls on the game falls on a day where I actually have to work a game because I work in baseball, right? So to be honest, my next off day is Thursday. So that next video of my uncle, because if I was just doing it solo, then I'd definitely record it like Sunday night, upload it, Monday morning, right? You know, but with that, my next off day is Thursday, so that might mean that, like, okay, you know, I might just be locked. I might just be locked in. We might be having our game recap probably that Thursday, which is crazy as enough. But that's the thing when you got working your way and you work full time and stuff like that, and then on top of it, when you have an uncle that lives in Germany, on the other side of the planet, it's hard to correlate with times and stuff like that. So. Yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Catch you guys in the next video. Till then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day or your night. I'm enjoying this video. Until then, guys, I will catch you guys later. Peace.